Client-side mods are pretty nifty because you can use almost any of them in online servers without any issues. Or maybe your computer isn't the best one out there, they tend to not have a big performance impact either. Seeing as it's been over a year since my last video on these bad boys, today we'll be taking a look at over 20 client-side mods for Minecraft's Chase the Skies update. Also, thank you guys for 200,000 subscribers, you are all amazing. Kicking things off, I actually wanted to start the video out on my brand new solo world that I've been playing on while we wait for the new Copper Golem update. And the first client-side mod I want to talk to you guys about is one called 𝗠𝗢𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗡. As you guys can see, whenever I open up my inventory, there's a little animation that plays. If I were to pause the game, for example, it does the same thing. If I go into the options menu, it does the same thing. Music and sounds, controls, yada yada. Basically, what this mod does is it's going to bring a smooth animation to any kind of GUI element whenever you open it, which I think looks fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, I've seen these before in the past, and they've kind of bugged out a little bit whenever it comes to resource packs, but as you guys can see, I am using the Recolorful Containers resource pack, and things are working just fine. Also, I got my little memorabilia wall right here. I recommend everybody that plays survival make something like this. But overall though, this is a very clean mod. I'm a very big fan of it. And traditionally, whenever I play something like Minecraft Bedrock, I normally turn off the animations that come with the UI elements in that game. But in this mod, things are just so snappy and responsive. I'm just a really big fan. So if you're a fan of the mod I just showcased with the nice little GUI animations as you can see here, then you're probably really gonna love this next one. This one is called Immersive Hotbar. So take a look at the bottom of my screen. As you can see, I have the pickaxe selected, and the pickaxe icon is a little bit bigger than the rest of the icons on my hotbar. And as I transition around, you'll actually see subtle animations that play for not only those icons, but also for the text above my hotbar, which I think looks incredibly clean. And it even, as it pops in, you'll notice that it pops out of the screen as well. Now this is incredibly configurable. If we go here, we can have animated tooltip, toggle tooltip Y offset, should item grow when selected, shrink animation, text, durability, cooldown, overlay scaling, tools animate, weapons animate, all sorts of stuff here. If I were to go to tools animate, for example, and just save the changes, if I pull out my shovel and I start mining some of this grass over here, well, I guess the correct term would be digging, you'll see that it actually animates every single time it takes a little bit of durability damage. And every single time I pick up a piece of dirt, you'll also notice that it kind of pops into my inventory down at the bottom. So this is a really, really cool client-side mod if you're someone that enjoys little subtle animations here and there. And I think it pairs perfectly with the smooth GUI. Now, I really and truly hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I need to get this information out there because ever since I found out, I feel like most everybody needs to know. The next client-side mod I want to talk about is called Centered Crosshair. Now, you might be asking yourself, Joey, what are you talking about? Why does there need to be a mod called Centered Crosshair? Well, like I said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if I bring up my editing software here, well, not editing software, I guess image editing software, and I go ahead and show you guys what things look like with the mod on, you can actually see that these little guidelines right here meet directly in the middle of this image. However, if we take a look at Minecraft with the mod off, you'll notice that the crosshair is ever so slightly not aligned in the center of your screen. Yes, I know, absolutely tragic. Even if it's by half a pixel or so, it is absolutely tragic that it doesn't actually match the center of your screen. So yeah, I didn't know that this mod needed to exist, but this is a bug that does indeed exist, and this is what vanilla Minecraft looks like. This is what Minecraft looks like with the mod. Now, for our next pack, I think a lot of you guys are going to enjoy this because I made a short going over it and people were absolutely crazy for it. It's called VT Downloader. Now, right here, I have my own vanilla tweaks resource pack just called Demon Joe Tweaks, but you'll notice there's a little pencil icon right next to it. If I go ahead and unselect this resource pack and click on the pencil icon, of course, Minecraft is going to go ahead and update, but now you'll see that I actually have a vanilla tweaks UI in my game itself. So instead of needing to go to the website and change everything there and download a whole new pack, what you can do is just make changes to your Vanilla Tweaks pack right here. So if I go ahead and scroll down, let's see if I find anything that I think is a little interesting. Maybe we'll take away the plain leather armor, because, you know, right over here it shows what we have selected. Let's say I don't want plain leather armor anymore, and I just click download right here. You'll see that it downloads and completes, and if I go ahead and click done, I can just go ahead and move this right back over, and boom, my changes have been made to my resource pack. I didn't have to go to the Vanilla Tweaks website, reapply everything, or drag and drop and then download a whole separate file and replace it. This mod actually does it for you, meaning you don't have to take so much time just to make one small change if you ever wanted to. All right, y'all, I have an awesome group of packs for you guys, 2 mods and 1 resource pack. The first one I want to talk about is one called Toggle Name Tags. As you can see, I spawned in a mob and I named him Dinnerbone, and I don't have to worry about his name sitting above his body, which I know can bother some people, especially if you have a lot of these or maybe some Jeb rainbow sheep, and if you get close, they all have the same name and it's kind of annoying. Well, with the Toggle Name Tags mod, you don't have to worry about this. What you do have to worry about though, and it's not just this mod, it's a couple like it. If you were to go to the mod menu and take a look, you actually can't configure the mod from here. So you're kind of on your own to figure out what the keybinds are. And that's where a mod called controlling comes into play. As you can see, there is now a search bar in my keybinds menu, so I can just type in name tag and then, oh, would you look at that? Toggle name tags and show your own name tag. And so this, of course, is the minus symbol. So if I didn't already have it enabled, I would need to go and scroll through those are the video settings. I would need to sit here and scroll through all these keybinds to figure out where the name tag thing is, and then whenever I finally find it, I can then use it. However, with this mod and with these mods, we can combine them so that we can figure out what our keybinds are, and so that we can go ahead and hide these name tags. Well, the last thing I want to talk about is a resource pack called Fresh Food. And what Fresh Food does is it actually makes 3D models and eating animations for all of the food in the game. Well, with a new update to this resource pack, you can actually put the word plate after any piece of food that you want, and what it's going to do is allow you to display the food models on an actual plate when placed in an item frame. And when using the Toggle Name Tags mod, you no longer have to worry about looking at these on an item frame and having to see the actual name of them. You can simply toggle it off and it's not going to get in your way. The same way if you were to look at one of these specially named mobs, you won't have to see a giant dinner bone above a creeper. One of my favorite little client-side mods for the longest time kinda stopped getting updated, but recently it got reconstructed in the form of Detail Armor Bar Reconstructed. And so if you guys haven't been using my mod pack, you might not know this information, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention here. What this mod essentially does is it changes the armor bar at the bottom of your screen depending on what armor you have equipped. So as you can see, there's a little bit of gold, there's some netherite, there's some diamond, and a little bit of turtle. This also works even with an elytra, so you'll notice that there's even an elytra icon there as well. And of course, like many mods, this is configurable. There's all sorts of changes that you can make to it, and yeah, this has been something that honestly, with how Mojang has been working lately with the different updates they've been putting out, I could definitely see something like this making its way into the vanilla game, and that's why it's always been one of my favorites. Now, moving on over to my single player world once more, I want to talk about one of the better sorting mods that I've seen, and it's called Client Sort. Now, if we go ahead and open up this chest, you'll notice that there are 4 different buttons on each inventory screen, or the inventory of the chest and the inventory of myself. This would be Sort, Fill Stacks, Transfer Matching, and Transfer. So if I were to transfer up here, what it would do is it would take all the contents of the chest and throw them into my inventory. If I were to press the transfer button here, it would transfer all the contents of my inventory into the chest. Now, there's a couple other things we have here. Of course, I can click sort, so it's going to sort things by building blocks and such, and then we go to vegetation, and then we go to utility blocks, and yada yada. If I were to go ahead and take a little bit of dirt, a little bit of gravel, a little bit of diorite, and some logs, There we go. And I were to go ahead and press transfer matching, it would realize what matches between this inventory and that, and then would go ahead and transfer it over. And there are buttons for just about any kind of inventory you can think of, as long as it is applicable. And yeah, it's very, very lightweight. There's not too much going on. It's not all up in your face. And of course, like usual, you can go through here and you can change just about anything that you would like. For our next mod, we have one that is very, very lightweight, really, really subtle, but it's one that I think Mojang could implement into just regular Minecraft and it'd fit perfectly. It's called Particle Effects, and what it does is it's actually going to change that camel is loud. It's actually going to change the specific particle effects that you get whenever you drink a potion. By the way, that little kind of zoom effect you saw right there comes from subtle effects, which I've already covered in the past. Now, as you guys can see, whenever I drink the fire resistance potion, you see that the little sprites, instead of just being, you know, orange squigglies, are little fire sprites that are around me. And this also stacks, by the way. So if I drink a potion of regeneration, you'll notice that there's some hearts that are coming up off of me to indicate that, of course, I have regeneration. And if I were to drink a potion of swiftness, you would see little white arrows, which I know are kind of hard to see. If I get like really close, you can see some white arrows that are pointing to the right, indicating that I got some speed going. So really like this pack a lot. I didn't know about it for the longest time, but it's really subtle and it brings a lot more character to the potion effects. Now, I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I've said it plenty of times that I feel like a mod could make its way into vanilla, and it has, like with the falling leaves and, you know, mob variants and stuff like that. This is another one. I really think it needs to come to vanilla. It's called Delete Worlds to Trash, and this one can save you a ton of hassle. I know plenty of people online like to say, oh, it's impossible to delete a world by accident. But let's say instead of having one world to just do stuff in creative and one world to just play survival, let's say you have a whole list of them and you're trying to mass delete them. Well, a lot of times you might click on the wrong one and select delete on accident. Well, with this mod installed, if I were to go ahead and delete new world, actually we can go ahead and edit it and we'll change it to test. I typed that wrong, and then we'll click delete. You'll actually notice test will be moved to the recycle bin and you can restore it later if necessary. Traditionally, Minecraft would just completely delete your world and you were just kind of out of luck at that point. But luckily here, I can go ahead and take a look here. This is the new world that we just deleted. I can just hit restore, back, single player, and boom, our little new world test is right back here. So if you're somebody that has been the victim of deleting a world on accident or a bunch of them, this is just an extra layer of protection just in case. All right, so I'm gonna level with you guys. This mod in particular, super duper cool. So as you guys know, there is a thing called a locator bar in multiplayer, where if you're playing with other people, it kind of shows waypoints on your locator bar to show you where the other players are in the server. For single player, this really doesn't make much of a difference unless you install a mod called Locator Lodestones. If I place a lodestone right here, and let's, for the sake of argument, go ahead and pull out an anvil, right? And I grab this compass, and I named this compass Swamp Hut, because I'm pretty sure if I look back there, yeah, there's a swamp hut. And I go ahead and link it right here. You'll notice that as long as the compass is in my inventory, the locator bar shows up and it points over towards this right here. If I hold tab, you'll even see that it acts as like a vanilla friendly waypoint system and shows me the name of the compass. Now, what makes this super cool is if we go ahead and place a lodestone here and link this up, and then we go ahead and let's see, we have 2 swamp huts now. Yeah, okay, we'll just keep doing the swamp hut. I go ahead and place a lodestone here, do that. And if I go ahead and go all the way over here, just for the sake of, an example, we'll just take a brand new compass and do that. So that one just says compass. Okay, if we were to go far, far, far away, let's go ahead and TP Demon Joe 3000 83,000, right? Let's go ahead and get super duper, I'm in a rock. Let's go ahead and get super duper far away, right? And let's go ahead and swap on over to survival. You'll notice that the lodestones are super far away. We can still see them over there. but we can still see them even if we go ahead and slap all of these inside of a bundle. So you don't need to have, if you want to have multiple waypoints on you at any given time, just have the bundle in your inventory. And we can go ahead and teleport back to where that swamp was. I believe it was right over here. I believe it was right over here. And if we go ahead and find this bundle, you can see I don't have any locator bar shenanigans going on, but I pick up this bundle and they go ahead and appear, and I can hold tab and I can see which one is which. So this brings an awesome locator bar function to single player. And I think I'm going to end up putting this in my mod pack. This is a super underrated gem of a mod. Now, traditionally, I don't do this, but I don't really have friends to play Minecraft with, so I'm just going to show you guys from the Modrinth page because I can't really show you in multiplayer. This one is called Locator Heads. So unlike the last Locator Bar mod, where it was mainly meant for single player, this one right here is meant for multiplayer, and instead of having just colored dots, it actually changes the look of the dots to the actual head of the player. And this, of course, can be changed as much as you want. You can adjust the size of the heads, distance-based scaling, the player skins. You can even go down all the way here and you can include only specific players. So like maybe your best friend, maybe best couple of buddies, and exclude other players from the bar as well. Super awesome mod. I hope more people end up using this in the future. Now, I know there aren't a ton of people that really interact with this mechanic, and maybe if you already do, you're definitely going to interact with it more. But for those that don't, maybe you'll interact with it now. This mod is called Scribble, and it essentially is going to make your book and quill experience a lot more enjoyable. You can just, right from the click of a button, just start making changes to how the font of your text is going to look, what color it's written in. You can also save your books and then load them later. So let's say I wrote a book called Subscribe to Demon Joe. Or actually, let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's make that red and bold. Oh, dang it. There we go. Red and bold, and then Demon Joe, subscribe now. Something like that, right? And I were to go ahead and sign it, I would then be able to save book to file, and then later right click and then load it back in. But of course, this allows you to insert new pages, go from page to page, trash a page if you don't want to use it. And then of course you have all these different options right here in order to customize your book to your exact liking. Super cool mod, highly underrated. Up next for the video, I have a bit of a mod combo, two mods that go perfectly together. We have a good place as well as mining quakes. So both sides of the fence, we have mining and placing, and as you can see, with mining quakes, you'll actually notice that, and it kind of looks a little cursed, when you are hitting a block, it's actually going to freak out a little bit, give a little bit of an animation, maybe something that you might would expect inside of a Minecraft trailer. And if you were to go and place these down, you'll notice there's little animations that play when you put them down. And it's kind of harder to see the mining quakes when you use like an insta-mine tool like a shovel, but you can look, especially whenever you're mining a little bit slower. This is of course just client side, so only you would be able to see this kind of stuff. So if you're not a fan of these animations, then of course you don't have to use them. But I do know there are some people that are really crazy about replicating that trailer feel and having blocks kind of wiggle around while you're beating the heck out of them and having them kind of, you know, just get slapped down onto the ground like that. Hey, that's something a few people might like. Up next for the video, we have a mod that is similar to VT Downloader in the sense that it has to do with resource packs, and this one is called Respackopts, or Resource Pack Options. And what it does, and this is only for resource packs that support it, allows you to configure resource packs. And with resource packs getting more and more complicated as time goes on, this is a very nice mod to have. Enchantment Outlines, for example, supports different compatibilities with the Bottle O Enchanting, the shield being vanilla tweaks for the low shield, or vanilla tweaks for the short sword, and a bunch of different things that are going to be coming in the future. If we go on over to Drody's Illagers, you can see Pillager Remodel, whether or not you want it to be remodeled, can be either true or false. And there are, of course, a lot of other resource packs, I just don't have them installed, that have a lot more options than these two at face value. But if you've ever seen something where a resource pack is telling you that you can change things within it, but it doesn't really show the option, it's probably because you don't have resource pack options downloaded. So I have a question for a couple of you fellas out there. Have you ever been exploring in Minecraft and, kind of in the early game, you're going around, you're in the sunken ships, you're grabbing the buried treasure map, coming on out, and then going to your boat. So go ahead and pull out the buried treasure map. We can go ahead and see that it looks like we need to go northeast. So it'll be in that direction right there. Well, whenever you're trying to actually go and find the treasure, you'll notice that every single time you move, your map gets taken off your screen. Well, with the mod called Boat Item View, you can actually row the boat and look at your map at the same time. This was something that always frustrated me whenever I would be in the early game of Minecraft and I'm trying to find the shipwreck, and every single time I have to stop and then look at the map and then keep going and then stop and then look at the map and realize I've gone too far. But with this mod right here, you can see perfectly fine. I'm able to row and take a look at the map at the same time. And although it doesn't really make much sense, not much in this game really makes sense. It's made out of blocks. In a similar vein to the mod we just talked about, let's talk about Leave My Bars Alone. Previously, with the boat, as you saw, sometimes the map would go down when we move, and that was kind of annoying. Well, in vanilla Minecraft, when you ride a horse, for example, your HUD kind of gets all chopped up. And as you can see with Leave My Bars Alone, you don't really have to worry about that. You can see my armor bar is still there, and it is mod compatible. You'll see that my hearts are there, my food, and the jump bar for the horse only becomes a jump bar whenever I want it to. I can also see my experience at all times whenever I want. So yeah, this mod is absolutely perfect if you'd like to retain more of your HUD elements if you're trying to use horses more often. When it comes to mods that can save your life, not much are better than Cut Through. As you can see, as I'm looking at this tall grass, my sword can directly interact with it and try to chop at it and yada yada. But with the Cut Through mod, if I actually put an enemy behind this grass, unlike in vanilla Minecraft where my sword would get hung up on the grass in front of me, this mod allows me to actually target the enemy behind it, just like how it should be in the vanilla game. There's nothing more frustrating running through a field and coming across some tall grass, and from a creeper perspective or zombies or anything, not being able to fight properly because there's grass in front of them that you have to break first. This mod is going to do away with that and help keep you alive. Now, this next mod goes out to all my creative building enjoyers out there, and this one is called Better Saved Hotbars, and I really wish I would have known about this sooner. I mean, it really, I'm kicking myself not knowing about this, but I'm sure as many of you guys know, there is a hotbars section in the creative menu, and traditionally you would need to equip a hotbar full of stuff and then press like a button combination to save it to a specific slot. But with this mod, it really is as simple as just dragging and dropping the items into wherever you want. So let's say, for example, I do a lot of thumbnail stuff, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some netherite stuff. I'm gonna grab a smithing table, the wild armor trim, which by the way, best armor trim in the game, don't get it twisted. And we go ahead and throw this stuff on, right? There we go. I have armor with very specific things on it, and I can just save it super easily by just dragging and dropping. You can do the same thing with items that have enchantments on it or just certain block palettes and stuff like that. And then of course you still have your keybinds for just bringing the whole hotbar down. I mean, it's a really good mod, and if you are a creative builder, you will love it. Finally, for our last mod of the video, we have one called Chat Animation. And if you're somebody that enjoyed the Smooth GUI mod and you enjoyed the Smooth Immersive Hotbar mod that we were using, well, this one you'll love as well. As you can see, whenever I press T, the little chat menu at the bottom comes up super smoothly. And if I go ahead and type in a command, we can do /locate structure, and then we'll do stronghold. You'll see that whenever new messages come in, they just kind of float up to the top with a nice little animation instead of just instantly appearing. So it's a really cool mod just to kind of go alongside the other stuff that we just showed off. So if you felt like there's a little something missing as far as smooth UI goes, then, well, Chat Animation has you covered. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate all of you guys' support. Reaching 200,000 subscribers recently was something I never thought would happen. I do apologize for the, little amount of videos lately, but I'm slowly but surely getting back into the swing of things. So guys, I really do appreciate you guys checking out today's video and supporting my content and everything in between. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next time.